They actually did it. They actually did it. The first ever successful xenotransplant in human history. So, what do we know? Right? We know that the transplant took place in the Massachusetts General Hospital. We know that the patient, Richard Slayman, 62-year-old African American, was proposed the xenotransplant program by his doctor, and he agreed. And as a result, they moved forward with the procedure. Now, Richard Slayman, unlike the last case of xenotransplant, is a fully cognitive, fully functional. He's a fully functional person. So what do we know? This was a one-time thing, right? And this was considered a act of compassion. UNOS and the transplant center, which he was on their list. So he was on their list for about 11 years, which is a really long time. And from the reports, he was ailing. Dialysis wasn't going very well for him. And if they didn't do anything immediately to save him, he could have died. Once they were sure that there wasn't going to be any negative side effects immediately, they just went ahead with the surgery. And they put it in his body. And it actually worked. This was just, it's April right now. This was just in March. This is like a revolutionary thing for like medical science. So here's the thing about xenotransplant. For those of you who are unfamiliar, you can't just take an organ out of an animal and then just put it into a person. It doesn't work that way, right? Like animal organs have, like animal parts have things about them that react badly in the human body. So in order for them to put this pig organ, I believe it was a miniature pig, they took the kidney of a miniature pig and put it inside his body. But in order to do that, they had to do things to it. They had to change it in a way. So that way there wouldn't be immediate negative effects or fail immediately. So they had to um, alter the pig kidney genetically. So they used about 69 different like genetic alterations to the kidney to make it viable to put into a person. But like I said, it was a one-time thing approved by the FDA. Moving forward, this is not like we don't know what's gonna happen. Know if this is gonna become a regular thing. We know that they're trying to make this a regular thing, but we don't know, right? But the FDA did clear it this one time. And the last I read, as far as I know, he's still in recovery. Now I don't know this guy personally, but as far as I know, he's still in recovery. Um, and he's stable. But that being said, we don't know anything about the implications of this for the future. We don't know how long that kidney's going to last him. We don't know what the long-term effects of animal to human transplantation is. We don't know. We don't know anything. It's like it's just like, well, anything could happen. But I'll say this: it is a very exciting time in the world of transplant. Now, this could be just this. It's this revolutionary thing, and then they could just do it the one time, and then you know, factors can be found and not viable, and they could never do it again. But we don't know. But the applications of this are exactly what I've been talking about. We are in the most technologically advanced age in medicine that there has ever been. And we need to start acting like it. On one hand, this is an exciting time, but on the other hand, it's like, man, what? Because the process of transplant and the people who operate like the transplant are just, there's so many redundancies, there's so much incompetency, there's so much inefficiency that, like, well, we couldn't utilize human kidneys, but we can give you all these animal parts. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? Because African Americans, statistically, this is not my opinion, this is a fact, that statistically, African Americans, especially in California, are like the highest population of people on the transplant list. So who's to say they don't just rush this xenotransplant thing? Just playing devil's advocate here, right? And they know that the kidneys will last, but they're still subpar. But they still want to give all those human organs to all their white patients. That's still a thing. It's still never going to not be a thing. Because a lot of transplant is not knowing what the right hand, the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. Right? So they make a mandate. Let's say, for example, UNOS makes a mandate. Right? Everybody's got to do this the exact same way to make it fair. But you still have individuals working at the ground level with patients that like could just make decisions like on their own of like, well, you know, we're just gonna do what we want to do anyway. But I'm just playing devil's advocate. These are just my thoughts. You know, a transplant coordinator or a transplant surgeon is just like, hey, listen, we'll just give them the pig kidney because black people are swine anyway. Right? Let's be real here. As a man of African descent, I am one of the most hated race of people in all the free world. And that's real. But all that stuff being said, right? Like, the implications of this are insane. Wait times could potentially be cut in half, right? 7 years turns into 3. 3 turns into 2. You know what I mean? Just people, you'll start to see people get end-stage renal disease, get on a transplant list, and then potentially be off in like 3 years. Maybe less depending on the blood type, or at least that's what they say. Or not even based on blood type. If they can actually change the blood types of organs, kidneys, because they've been experimenting with that too. They actually did it. It worked for a little bit, and then it just reverted back to its normal blood type. But like, these are things that are happening, right? Just like, imagine that, right? Like, I'm African American, O type blood. I have the longest wait time on the transplant list. But if they could get this rolling as fast as they got the COVID vaccine out, sign me up. I already did. So if you are interested in participating in the Xenotransplant program, you can go to this website. Fill out this questionnaire. Or better yet, share this video around. Share the video around that, you know, xenotransplant is a thing that's trying to happen. Because if we, the patients, don't say anything, the world's never going to know. It's just going to get swept up in the 24-hour news cycle, just like it did. This revolutionary, like, achievement in medical science, and nobody's talking about this.